What's good, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's fine, fantastic. I hope this video finds you doing well, being well, moving, making dreams, making your things happen, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So, got a few comments that were in the comment section about some other videos that I did, and I wanted to try to address them. I didn't screenshot them, and I'm not going to go dig for them right now. But one I'm going to address later that I did screenshot. So, but just just this whole what's going on with men thing, and the rise of mamas boys, and the choosing these boys out here don't know how to be men and all that kind of stuff, man. And I wanted to try to address that a little bit. So first thing is, I'm going to show a couple of videos here. First video I'm going to show is it's obviously a skit. I mean, the cameras are positioned just perfectly. So it's obviously a skit, but we'll go through it. So watch this.
I'm not sitting in the back seat. You need to get out. You gonna sit in the back seat today? You need to get out. I'm not sitting in the back seat.
My mom is coming, so I ain't gonna lie. You gonna have to get me back. What you mean?
What you mean you're not coming?
It's not that deep. Just sit in the back seat.
Okay, bye. Y'all not married anyway, honey. I mean, we just going somewhere. You act like you gotta sit in the back seat forever. Okay, bye. That's real crazy. Like what?
Boy, oh boy.
So as we saw in the video there, we saw that the guy, and I'm talking about the guys here. The guy is choosing his mother to sit in the front seat. And again, if it wasn't that big of a deal, I'm quite sure the mother would have sat in the back seat. But again, let's just pretend that this is not a skit for a minute. And if you're a guy, if you're a man, or if you're a woman and you have been in a situation where some guy's chosen his mother over you and all this kind of stuff, then obviously those are yellow flags, if not complete red flags, that this is going on. Or that this is the type of behavior that you should not tolerate. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the secret to breaking this besides conversation, besides just having a lengthy dialogue and about choosing your woman, knowing your place, knowing what a relationship is, knowing what marriage is, knowing what it means to be a girlfriend, and that person has to be above you. And I think that far too often, as we talk about the problems within, in particular, the African American community, is as we continue to put mama on this pedestal, on this level. All these rappers and athletes who have pedestalized their mothers, and I'm not saying mothers aren't important. I'm not obviously I'm not saying that. But when you can't make other life decisions, and when you're going broke, and when she's calling you at 2 a.m. and all this kind of stuff, and it's okay to help your mother out, it's okay to make sure that she's financially stable and all that kind of stuff. But I read so many different stories and watched so many different videos in line with this, saying that this is a real problem where men don't know how to be men and tell their mothers no, and don't know the hierarchy or priority level that where your mother sits. Now, not to be vulgar, but you came out of your mother and you want to enter into this new woman routinely. You got to make a decision as to what's going on here. It goes without saying that the woman should have sat in the front seat, and that just tells, it's obviously a power play. It's a skit, but it's obviously a power play, and it's a real dynamic that is going on in far too many homes, and it's in the comment section of my own videos and all that. Guys just don't know how to be men. They don't know how to say no. Don't know how to put their foot down. There's too many men who don't know who are indecisive, don't know how to make a decision, don't know how to process information, don't know priorities, don't know, when family and duty and honor and all that. I've had ladies tell me this in real life. He always chooses his mother. He's always running to his mother's house. He's always on the phone with his mother. All this type of stuff, right? And and this is a phenomenon that Dr. T. Hassan Johnson calls son husbands, where your son is performing some type of emotional labor, some type of even physical labor, financial labor, that a boyfriend or husband should be fulfilling. And with the rise of single mothers who don't have a stable boyfriend, husband to rely on, they turn to their sons for that masculine presence. And this creates problems for the future relationship, because no woman wants to be around or get involved with or continue to tolerate a second place in her life. Listen, most women don't want to be second place to your job. Right? They don't want to be second place to your job. They want to come before your kids. They want to come before everything. They want to be on a pedestal. And when it's your mother who's doing this, right? When the other woman in your life is your mother, you got to be able to say no. So listen, it's going to take a lot of maturity, a lot of gumption, a lot of intestinal fortitude, testicular fortitude, on the behalf of the son to say, no, ma, I can't come. I'm at this event. You can't sit in the front seat. This is my woman now. She's giving me children, etc. You got to be able to do that, right? You got to develop that ability to do that. And this is another problem that I think goes on with this divorce culture that we live in. Is if things don't work out, I just leave you, I just raise the kids on my own, I just divorce you, just live on my own. I think that this is a byproduct of that. There is no understanding of the hierarchy and priorities about who should get what in a relationship. I don't pretend to be, the greatest. Well, I think I am a Christian scholar, but but I don't pretend to push that all the time. But when Jesus said, what God has put together, let no man tear asunder, that means your mother too. I mean, you recognize that, right? That means your mother too. That she shouldn't come in between the relationship. Now, in the skit that we just watched, it was obviously wrong for the mother to say what she did, and the rudeness. You're gonna have to sit in the back seat, right? Just stomping all over the rights of the relationship. But she, it's a skit, obviously, but they made the skit propagating this type of thing, and so somewhere along the line they had to recognize that this was worth putting out there. And maybe they just did it just to demonstrate the sincere foolishness that a lot of people are dealing with, but it's still out there. It's still out there. And again, you can watch real videos of this type of thing. And I've seen it in real life. I dealt with it on my job in the PD. And I'm just going to say that there's just too many of these mama's boys running around out here. There's too many mama's boys running around out here. On that same level, be mindful, and myself, and I'll put the clip of this, had a conversation about this when she was talking about a situation, a hypothetical situation in which a guy was was not saying anything to his mother. I'll play that clip right now.
Okay, hold on, boo. Hold on, big thing. Okay, so it depends. I'm gonna just say, I think it depends, right? If I'm talking, let's say I'm talking about us, me and you, something that, okay, you and I married, right? Your mama coming over the house all the time, like the example that I gave. Your mom, your mama at the house all the time. Okay, she rearranged every time she comes. She got to rearrange the dishes. My kitchen, right? This is my kitchen. This is our house, right? So she rearranging the dishes, the kitchen, the furniture, the spices, and she putting them in alphabetical order. And you just sitting there. You're not doing anything to correct your mama in our house. Like, I'm all for respecting your mama. I'm a mom to 3 sons. I would never disrespect your mama ever. But I'm expecting you to say, Mom, come on now. This is my wife's home and her kitchen, right? Come on now. So if I come to you and say, boo thing, Dr. Boo, I feel disrespected. that your mom is up in here, alphabetizing my seasoning. Come on now. And then you may say, well, how you think I feel? Your daddy up over here, coming up over here and cooking on my grill. It's like, wait a minute. Well, why?
Don't touch the
Why?
man's grill now. Don't touch the man's grill.
I'm just saying, okay, but boo, why would you bring that up when I bring up something? If my daddy cooked on the grill 2 years ago, you should have brought that up 2 years ago. You don't bring that up now, right? And I know a lot of times that happens, and that's not the right time to bring it up. But if if I say that and come to you, the issue I have is with us. I don't got that issue with my BFF. I don't got that issue. I got that's our issue. So who should I go to?
No. You're right. I in that scenario, absolutely. You should definitely come to me, and you're absolutely right that I should not then do the whataboutism about your father touching my grill and he
Mhm,
borrowed my lawnmower and all this kind of stuff, right? So yes, in that case, in that scenario, I absolutely agree with you. Come to me or come to the man,
mhm.
talk to them, and the man should be empathetic, sympathetic, understand, and then say, okay, I'm going to do something about this. Yes, that would be showing the understanding, the vulnerability, the communication, and all that. I definitely agree with that. Yes, you should come to me. Yes. So you can see in this clip as well that you as a man have to, if you want to be a leader, protector, provider of your home, if that's your goal, and I'm sure that almost 90% of, particularly my audience, but almost 90% of all ladies would say that they are looking for that type of masculine presence. You are not demonstrating that type of masculine presence when and if you are engaging in this type of behavior. If you are not able to tell your mother no, don't rearrange stuff. This is my house now. You don't get to come over here and dictate how we raise our children, dictate how we arrange our furniture, dictate how we deal with our finances. You don't get to do that anymore. You have to deal with your own situation. Wasn't that movie, right? The Brothers, right, or something like that. It was Kevin Hart and a couple other dudes. 4 different type of dudes, and I can't remember. One of them was a mama's boy, and he was dating. It'll come to me if I can remember the name of it. But anyway, he was dating someone who had a child, and he couldn't let go of his mother's coattails, and then eventually, I think it was Think Like a Man. I think it was the movie, Steve Harvey movie, Think Like a Man. The brother in the movie was he couldn't get away from his mother's coattail, and meanwhile, she, eventually she started messing with, I think, somebody from the church or something. I don't know. So anyway, my point is, you have to develop that, and second of all, as ladies, you have to learn to let go. You have to raise your son to be a man, and men make decisions. Somebody asked me one time, and I never answered this, and I didn't answer deliberately, but somebody asked me one time in the comment section, how come men, after a while, stop listening to their mothers? This was asked in the comment, and I deliberately didn't answer the question, but I'll answer it now, because I think a lot of times men, if you raise your son right, it's gonna be controversial. It's gonna hurt. If you raise your son right, he's not gonna listen to you, because he's gonna want to be a leader. He's gonna be decisive, and he's gonna make his own decision, and that's really what you want. That's really what you want. You want a leader. You want somebody who's decisive. Now, I'm not saying he should just be bullheaded and never ever take counsel or whatever. But sooner or later, that man needs to make his own decisions. He needs to make his own mistakes. And if you got a son who's always doing what you say, who no matter what you suggest, and whatever you tell him to do all the time. Now, yes, you do want someone who can make a decision while also listening to good counsel, and it's a fine line. But real men have to make decisions, and sometimes we don't like the decisions. Sometimes we're not going to like the decisions that our children make. Sometimes we're not, but we got to let them make their decisions. We got to, as long as they're thinking through and trying to look at all, when I try to help my kids and stuff, I just try to give them a big picture. Let's look at all angles. Take a look at things that you're not thinking about. But you ultimately, you got to make your decision, and you got to live with your decision. I had to make my decisions, and I got to live with my decisions. So to these boys out here, who are trying to make it, trying to find their way, if you are 18, 19, 20 in your young years, I'm talking 29 and under, right? In your young formative years, yes, you should be a full-grown adult. Yes, you can vote, buy guns. I get all that. But you're still maturing as far as relationships and how to deal and how to become a leader. So you're still trying to do all that. And you have to set a boundary with your own mother sometimes. You gotta set your own bound. You gotta set a boundary with your own mother. If you have kids with a woman, if you want to be in a relationship with a woman, you got to be like, this is my woman. Especially if you're married or living together, you really have to set that boundary. Listen, you can't come over here doing all this stuff. You can't come over here with all this noise, with all this rah rah. This is her house. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna make my own decisions, and that's just has to be the way that it is. And also on the tail end of that is the ladies. As a mother, you have to raise your son to be that protector, provider, and leader. And leaders have to lead. So you have to let them make their decisions. He don't know what he's doing. We all don't know what we're doing. At one point in time, you didn't know what you were doing. You had to make your own way. You want to bubble wrap him. You want to make sure that he's making the best decisions. I get that. I understand that. I certainly do. I get it and I understand it. But you have to let them make their own decisions. And I'm not talking about let them run around with scissors and hang out with bad friends or obviously say something in that situation. But there's just too many of these boys out here, too many of these men out here who are not leaders, can't make decisions, and who are just have this quote unquote feminine energy. Panic in a time of crisis and all this other type of energy that is not appealing to the opposite. So as a woman out there, as a mother out there, I know you have a connection with your son and you want the best for him, but you have to step back and ask yourself, is this the type of behavior that I would want from my man? Is the relationship that I have with my son, my influence upon him, the same type of relationship that I would have would I tolerate that same type of energy from a man that I was dating? And if your answer is no, then you need to back up a little bit. If your answer is no, then you need to cut the ties a little bit. You need to cut the umbilical cord and cut the purse strings and all that kind of stuff. You need to cut all that, right? I know a lot of ladies who are still cleaning up their kids' rooms at 18, 19, 20 years old. Coming home from college, whatever, washing their clothes and stuff. You are not preparing your son for life. You are not preparing your son for life. You have to, at the early ages, particularly if you're a single mother, right? A lot of times the fathers can really kind of get in there and say, no, this is not it. This is how we're going to raise our son. But a lot of times these boys, these boys out here, they need you as a mother to start training them at 12, 13 about how to make decisions, how to pay bills, how to treat a woman on a date and all that kind of stuff. You should be preparing your son for how they're going to interact with the world in business, the world in relationships. And if you're not doing that, you're doing them a disservice. You're doing them a disservice. Now, as I was thinking about this, I just happened to scroll through my comment section. I came across this particular comment that I'm going to put on the screen right here. And this particular lady was saying that her son was doing well. He was an accountant, a very what's the word I want to use? Quiet type, introverted type of job. And he was doing well. He lived at home, but he's just socially inept. Can't have a conversation. And that type of job, being an accountant, you're just dealing with numbers and sheets all day. You don't need to have a particular set of overbearing, not overbearing, but really, a vast set of communication type skills, verbal skills, right? You don't need to have that. I mean, you just need to, okay, listen, just give me the spreadsheet and I'll find the numbers and make the work, do whatever it's going to do. And that's obviously his personality. You're not going to change his personality, but as I told her in the comments, this kid's going to need work. He's going to become less socially awkward. He's going to need work. He's going to need, probably a life coach, and he's going to need an internal drive to want to be this way. That's just the bottom line. You got to want to be this type of person. Now, yeah, you're gonna need that type of mentality to say, I want this, because it's going to hinder your ability, or their ability to find a mate, a spouse, and just have friends in general. But the bad thing is, and this is what a lot of men are dealing with today. There's a lot of men who are dealing with this today, who don't see the value. And by the time this drops, I should have released a live video, a video that I did live. So go over to the live section, hit the live tab on the top, go over to the live section, and I will have done a video about, men being socially awkward, refusing to date, and all that kind of thing. And exact title, I don't know what I'm going to name it yet, but it's something about, men withdrawing, something like that. Men withdrawing. I'll put the word withdrawing in there, so look for that. But anyway, so there is no incentive. Here's what I want to say: there's no incentive for men to do anything in these days and times, right? There is more young men who are just dealing with their social interaction is watching their funny adult movies. They have a better relationship with their video screens and with their bottles of lotion than they do with human people. They're playing video games all day. They are watching their adult movies, taking care of their physical needs, and they don't feel the need to interact with people. And there's just not a need to do it because they don't see the worth in it. They think it's a lot of unnecessary trouble, headache, and drama trying to deal with another person, and all that. And so it's really becoming very, very problematic. And so you got people who are naturally introverts, as this young man is, and then you've got people, and then it's being rewarded by a world or an environment that says it's okay to sit in the house all day. It's okay to work from home. It's okay to not interact with people. It's okay not to have a girlfriend because they're too much trouble and it's too much money. Getting into arguments, right? There's a post, a guy said, there was a post, if I can find it, it's a short video clip. Guy's chewing his food and he's at a restaurant, $16 meal, no stress, versus a $150 meal and trying not to get into an argument. And I've been accused, and I know I'm going to say this again, but I'm going to stand by it. I've been accused of being, misogynist and all this kind of stuff, and trying to not helping men and all this kind of stuff. I'm trying to help men become the best version of themselves. And also, when I talk to the ladies, what I want you to understand is, I get it that feminism has helped you become more independent and all that kind of stuff. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. A lot of you are just intolerable. And men would rather leave the country and date women from other places. They would rather not deal with you at all. They would rather deal with their bottles of lotion and TV screens than deal with you. Now, take and do with that information what you will. Call them losers, call them incels, call them what you want. But there's a lot of dudes, and somebody sent me a video. If I'll find it, I'll put it up here. Somebody sent me a video of a 50-year-old man who's like, I don't even want to deal with people anymore. Don't even want to deal with people anymore. So this phenomenon, this phenomenon, I'm kind of linking these phenomenons, is a lot of times, it's just coming down to the juice not being worth the squeeze. The juice just not being worth the squeeze. And when dealing with relationships, when dealing with people, when dealing with getting out of the house and all this kind of stuff, it's crazy. It's crazy. So people ask me, where I'm going and all this kind of. Listen, sometimes I have to force myself to get out the house. Not because I'm an incel, but because I'm like, sometimes I just work from home and I'm just doing what I got to do, and I want to get out and get some sunshine, fresh air, et cetera, et cetera. But some people don't see the value in it, in particular with other relationships. So this rise of mama's boys is the direct result of, number one, I would say, the lack of masculine presence in the son's life and in the mother's life, because she doesn't have any type of energy to counteract her feminine energy, any type of masculine energy to counteract her masculine energy. She has no one. She's looking for the mother. She's looking for, a son husband. Instead of raising her husband to raising her son to be a husband, she's now looking at him in this way, and a refusal to let go. And that, of course, creates strong, effeminate type, or not effeminate, but less masculine type of men who are able to stand up for themselves. And if you don't stand up to your mother and let her know that you are a man, you're not going to stand up to anybody else. You're not going to stand up to a boss. You're not going to stand up to your wife if you ever get one, and all this kind of stuff, right? So you got to make a decision as to what's going on here. And the other thing too is that we gotta there's a serious problem here with going on with men. A serious problem that's going on with men where they would rather sit in the house all day, not, just and not be productive, and become socially awkward and inept, and they just don't have it, and they don't want it. They don't have it, and they don't want it. And this problem is going on for quite some time. And there's been movies about it, right? Failure to Launch. There was a TV show that I like, American Dad, and in 2006, this episode came out it's called Dungeons and Wagons, in which the son, who was 14 years old, 13 or 14 years old, would rather play video games all day, and his dad was trying to get him out the house. There's a couple episodes they did about that, trying to get their sons out the house and stuff. Go out there, play, scrape your knee, drink out of the water hose, all this kind of stuff that we did as Generation X growing up. This millennials and Gen Zs or A's, whatever they are now, not interested. They're not interested. They're not interested in dating. They're just not interested. They're not interested. So it's really unfortunate because they don't see a place. And I'll leave this off with this, right? So this phenomenon is being expressed by a lot of people. And so I was watching, I don't watch a lot of stuff, and I did talk about, Christian stuff, but I was watching, I did click on it because the thumbnail caught my attention. I'll put the thumbnail up. And in this particular video, this pastor was given a message talking about how feminism came into the church. And here's what he said. Here's what he said, almost verbatim. He said that the men's job in the church, the women wanted to do that job. This is what the man said. You can watch the video for yourself. The women wanted to do that job. So when the women started doing that job, those jobs, whatever it was, whatever the job is when in church, the men left because they felt as if there was no place for them. And he said that about the church. I'm saying that, and other people are not saying that about the work world. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Because in the work world, it's a zero-sum game. If you have a job, then somebody else doesn't have it. I get it. You want to be strong, independent. I get it. That I'm also mindful of certain people had a dominance of the job market, right? If all the white males had a job, then there was none for black men, none for Latino men. So you got to make space for the men. Now we make space for the ladies, and now men don't find a place. This is a real phenomenon. It's a real phenomenon. Whether you like it or not, you want to accept it or not, you want to call them weak, you say they're not trying hard, you say whatever you want. But a lot of people, the church is noticing this, business world is noticing it, the manosphere, a lot of people are noticing this. And what's crazy is the ladies need to notice this as well. The ladies need, and if you look around and you see all these mama's boys, you see all these men who can't make a decision, quote unquote feminine men who can't make a decision, and all these different things that you don't want in a mate. You have to ask yourself, how did that happen? I'd love to hear your opinion about how this happened. If I'm wrong, the pastor of the church is wrong. The cartoon, I told you, American Dad, all these people are wrong. Well, so what happened? Tell us what happened. And where are all these strong men at? What happened to them? In the black community, it's certainly a lack of fatherless homes. Certainly. Big problem. So listen, that's another rabbit hole I don't want to go down, but I want to talk about mama's boys and all that kind of stuff. So I did link a lot of stuff together. So I hope that you give some thought to what I said, And you know, if you really want to help your son become less socially awkward, there's got to be an incentive. And right now, there's no incentive for men to go out there and try hard to get shot down, when or get a nuclear rejection when they ask a girl for a phone number, or get shot down on dating apps, or to you know, shot down when or approach somebody in a gym or in your job and risk having to go to HR, or being complained about, or having videos made about you. The environment is completely switched, completely switched, and it is unfavorable to men. And listen, this is why a lot of people voted for Trump. This is why a lot of people voted for Trump. And I did a video about this, about Chloe. And I added her, Chloe, this lady Chloe. And what she said, you know, a lot of these men, they want their masculinity back. They want their masculinity back. And I think that men, black men in particular, should want their masculinity back. There's other videos out there of ladies telling their sons who to vote for. Telling their sons who to vote for. You think emasculating him, getting in his face, yelling at him is the way to produce those types of results? Let me know your thoughts or opinions. Hit me up in the comment section.